Vicky? Eve, are you alright? This place is dangerous. Take my hand.
Full of clowns, they're all stupid and they're proud, painted smiles on their mouths. I don't hang with bozos, homie, I can't be around.
Hello everybody, Drew here for Drew Dat Underground, and my camera's off. Here we go. Hi everybody. For Breaking Rocks 56. Joining me today, as usual, the one and the only The one watching over us from the top of the church, Desert Nord.
Hey there.
Hey, bro. How you doing?
Doing all right.
Well, I got a new hat today.
Yeah, I see that.
Yeah. But if I flip it around...
Yeah, it's a... Yep.
Yeah, it finally came. I ordered two like a month ago because I ordered one for Mom for Mother's Day, but it just came today.
Yep.
Yeah. Thanks for the late delivery, Republican dogs.
Yeah, well, high demand, what can we say?
Well, are there that many Trump supporters in Arizona that this hat is that high in demand?
Yeah.
I didn't...
About 55% of the population who votes, yeah.
I didn't know that there was 75 million people living in Arizona.
No, but you can imagine the orders are in the thousands, even for that little company.
Anyway, aside from all that, and yes, that this means what you think it does in the comments. I didn't pick this side. The extremists on the left picked it for me. I'm just saying. Y'all wanted to steal my fence out from between my legs, and you succeeded in convincing me to be your enemy. Good job, morons. But on that note, on today's episode, Helldivers 2 and Sony do a 180 on the Steam mandatory sign up for PSN.
Mm-hmm.
Xbox rebranding to Microsoft Gaming and rebranding Xbox Live to Xbox Gaming prove that they don't give a shit about their own fucking system. Sony hasn't learned jack shit from Helldivers 2 Steam situation. Because now they're doing the exact same thing with a single-player fucking game, Ghost of Tsushima. And we'll get more into that. Also, Assassin's Creed Shadows dropped a trailer. Time to do gimmick infringement and talk nerdy again with some cringe. Even though I haven't seen the trailer, but I saw the stills. Get ready for your Black Samurai, everybody.
Yeah.
But
and of course, this is essentially, we'll go over it, but not just that, but also the female samurai too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then we will end with positive news. NCAA Football 25 trailer reaction at the end. We haven't had a college football game since the PS3 and the Xbox 360 and NCAA Football 14. It's been, 11 years?
Yeah, I believe so.
It's been not quite to the point since Skyrim came out for a new Elder Scrolls game. Not that I care anymore since Bethesda's putting pronouns in their RPGs now. But it's still been a god-awful long time without a good football game to compete with Madden. Right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And yes, I know Access Football is a thing. I know other companies have made smaller games, but They don't sell as much as Madden does, in spite of all the fucking issues that EA shovels into their shit, and then also removes shit that were in good Madden football games like Madden 08. Anyway.
Mm-hmm.
But on that note, Helldivers 2. Yeah, I don't have a tab for that, so we'll just have to talk about it. Sony did a 180, now saying that you don't need a PSN account to play Helldivers 2, a multiplayer-based game.
Yes. So the thing to mention before saying even that is to mention that after initially announcing they would require it, and the literal tsunami, I say literal, I mean figurative tsunami of negative reviews and absolute rage that came from that decision, now they've gone back on it.
Yeah.
Which, while obviously that was what was wanted, they're not going to fix the anger, because it's like, we know how you guys are at this point. Like, we know how you operate. We know that you would prefer to be dicks, and the only reason you didn't stay with this decision was because of just how many people were basically pissed off at you about it across the board.
Kind of like with what Lewis Black said about Republicans years ago. You get rid of one and four more pop up. It's like whack-a-mole. This situation is no different. You solve one problem, the gaming community pushes back to get one thing fixed with Sony, and another one pops up right behind it doing the exact same shit, i.e., Sony has learned nothing from the Helldivers 2 situation. Sony now requires Steam players to have a PSN account to play Ghosts of Tsushima, which also begins with a T like tsunami.
Mm-hmm.
A single-player game to play the multiplayer side of it. By the way, it's also banned. And I actually have a tab for that, for this topic. Come on, you stupid mouse.
You'll remember I always sort of jokingly referred to it as Tsushima. I always say it the way you would say it if you were like a Japanese gentleman and you were like an actual samurai. You'd say Ghosts of Tsushima.
Well, unless you're drunk 3PO and you had bad sushi and you call it Ghost of Sushi.
Yeah. People are funny about it, but it is possibly the best game of one of the best games of the last 5 years in general, and the best game of its kind probably ever. But
as I was saying, a single-player game in which Sony is making you have a PSN account on Steam to play the multiplayer side of it. Meanwhile, because of this, the game is now delisted in 170 different countries that don't have the PlayStation Network, which means they can no longer access or play or buy or whatever the single player of this game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, they have to bootleg a copy in order to get it at all now.
Yeah, to play something that they don't even need a PSN account to play that part of it.
Mm-hmm.
At least as far as I'm aware. Following Sony's decision last week to delist Helldivers 2 in 170 regions, it wasn't quite that many, but worldwide on Steam, it seems this will be the firm PC stance moving forward. It has been since done the same for the imminent PC release of Ghost of Tsushima. More regions have been added to the list, taking the total number of territories affected to 180. We'll have to fact check that at some point, push square.
Mm-hmm.
Which is now consistent across both titles. Previously, Sony had said Ghost of Tsushima single-player offering would be unaffected by the additional requirement, which is what I was talking about. The game's Steam page still states that PSN account is required to play the Legends multiplayer mode, as I said before. But it was delisted anyway due to the open nature of Valve's platform. These changes are pretty visible, and including Sucker Punch's primary single-player open-world epic. In this blanket ban comes as a legitimate surprise. Exactly. Because of the ban, if you will, you can't play the single-player part of the game, which is not supposed to be online, because you need an account which is not available in your country to play the multiplayer side of it.
Mm-hmm.
Sony is quickly turning into, in terms of when they put the games on PC, Microsoft a la 2013. At this point.
They're going from one gigantic, outrageous mistake to another. Right, without even missing a beat.
But here's the thing from my point of view, at least. With Helldivers 2, it was a multiplayer game. Yeah, it's supposed to have a single-player part of it, but it's largely a multiplayer game. That's what it's known for.
Sure, so if you didn't sign up for a PSN account, you couldn't play it at all.
Yeah.
This you could play, but not really, because now you have to get a bootleg copy if you're in any of the regions that they've delisted it in.
Yeah. Ghost of Tsushima here is known as a single-player game.
Sure, most people would celebrate the single-player side of it, yes.
Yeah. And I don't know a lot of people that have even played the multiplayer part of it.
No, obviously the multiplayer is a complete side bet, not what most people played it for.
Yeah, so I guess a new hashtag has to be started. Hashtag free the single player of Ghost of Tsushima or something.
Well, I mean, considering that they delisted it just like Helldivers 2, it's effectively the same, just the fact that most people are going to play the part that doesn't need a PSN account doesn't mean that delisting it has no effect. Obviously, delisting is delisting, regardless of why.
But there's also the added caveat here that Helldivers 2 had been out on PC for 3 months or something, right?
Well, sure, and then Ghost of Tsushima has been out for a good long while now.
On PlayStation, but this hasn't come out on Steam yet. It's about to come out real soon.
Yeah.
So this means that Ghost of Tsushima won't even be sold in, according to PushSquare, over 180 countries at this point.
Yeah, and you kind of wonder why they would even want to do this to themselves.
Why they wouldn't want to sell as many digital copies on Steam as they can. Apparently Sony doesn't. Apparently Sony is rolling in it now. All of that DEI fucking money at this point.
I guess so.
Which by the way, is nothing anyway. Hence,
as far as the effect that DEI has on their sales, it's been a negative. But as far as the funding and support from, we'll say, agencies like the Department of Homeland Security and others, they're in favor. They fund these companies to do this. We know that. That's what the whole Sweet Baby Inc. thing was all about. Was that literally the U.S. federal government and other agencies within it are actively funding and operating woke bullshit operations within the gaming industry. We know that now.
Is there anything important in this article?
So as far as them making money, they get paid to do it to begin with. Whether they make money on the end of it, that wasn't even necessarily the goal. The goal was to wokeify every game.
There's this. Sony has yet to comment on the matter outside of its initial apology. You aren't fucking sorry, Sony.
Yeah. Why would they be sorry? They did this on purpose. You can't do something like this on purpose and then apologize.
Twice, by the way.
Do it twice and then apologize. Come on.
Well, we imagine
they're not sorry.
Firm will have to announce a framework for how future PC launches will work. No, they fucking won't. They don't give a shit. It's pretty disappointing for those in affected areas. Yeah, no kidding. But there is at least something of a silver lining. Oh, do tell. If you squint at the situation in a certain light, Steam is reportedly preemptively refunding players who purchased Ghost of Tsushima on PC ahead of the pre-orders,
which they would be legally required to, basically, without being in trouble with the FTC. They would have to do that.
But the fact that Push Square even put this in, if you squint at the situation in a certain light,
yeah. Mm-hmm.
I don't need to squint to see what the fuck is going on here.
No, I mean, but here's the thing. Like, they refunded money of people that they took money and didn't give a product to. Oh my God, thank you. Like, they needed to be thanked for that. Do they really need to be thanked for giving the money back to people that they're not giving any product to?
God damn it. And this is why I refuse to fly any specific flag for any fucking platform. Because they're all fucking you. At this point. There's no two ways around it.
Well, my point about it is like, okay, the silver lining is that they didn't take money from people and then not give them a game. It's like, okay, great. So they didn't commit outright fraud.
Yeah. Steam willingly gave refunds because they know that it's illegal to take money without giving a product. Yeah, great, fine. Steam is doing what they're supposed to be doing in the circumstances that they find themselves in, which is really shitty and is forced on them by Sony. So therefore, my recommendation to Steam is don't do business with Sony and PlayStation.
My question is, did it cost them anything? Did it really cost them anything to give the money back?
I'm willing to bet that it cost Steam and whatever they would have made for the sales of the game.
No, I know, it's lost sales. I get that, but they didn't sell anything.
Well, they sold pre-orders of the game.
No, yeah, sold pre-orders. Yeah, pre-orders are not actually a sale of a product. They're a promise to provide product later.
Which they aren't doing now to the people in the over 100 some countries. But
well, what does it cost you to promise something? That's the other thing. What does it cost you to promise something? Nothing. It costs you nothing.
Well,
when it costs you something, that's when you're actually providing the product. That's when it actually costs you something.
In the case of pre-ordering a game, a game comes out and you're not allowed to play it, but the company that sold you the pre-order keeps the money. That's a fucking lawsuit waiting to happen.
Yeah, exactly.
And Steam realizes that,
they had no choice but to get the money back.
Yeah, Steam had to. That's what I'm talking about when it comes to pre-orders and.
So when they
like
want to talk about silver linings, what Steam was forced to do is not a silver lining.
No, that's good business practice on their fucking part, morons over at Push Square. But in other fucked up bullshit, gaming related, of course, Xbox rebranding. Microsoft rebrands Xbox Live to Xbox Network, according to The Verge. And then there was also that terrible interview from the CEO or president of Xbox Gaming or Microsoft Gaming or whatever the fuck it is over at Microsoft now, when she was talking about they are rebranding Xbox into Microsoft Gaming. In other words, Xbox Game Studios to Microsoft Gaming, I assume is what that means, right?
Yep. Yeah, it's another unnecessary, strange, and just following Sony type move.
Yeah. And people wonder why I say just go buy a fucking Nintendo Switch. Or, if you can afford it, go get a gaming PC.
I mean, honestly, is there people sitting in the Microsoft boardroom talking to themselves or talking to each other about how to improve the situation? They're like, you know what we need to do? We need to follow Sony. Is that really what they're saying to themselves?
In the case of 2013, yeah, that was the case. In the case of now, no.
Well, I mean, if this is a new thing that they're deciding to do, they're following Sony. So who's telling them to do that?
Fuck if I know.
I'm just saying, like, the decision makers over at Microsoft, like, who is saying, hey, this is something Sony did a while back. Let's just do what they did. Like, who's saying that? And why haven't they been slapped? Like, this is stupid. Like, you don't look original. You don't look special. You look like you're fucking following Sony. And Sony's a disaster. I mean, in terms of decision making, they're terrible.
Yeah.
I mean, am I to get the idea that Microsoft is literally following Sony's lead? Like, that's bad. That's really bad.
Sony is willingly handicapped their releases on Steam. Microsoft is willingly doing DEI, whatever the fuck it is, bullshit. And Nintendo is sitting off in the corner simply going...
Well, it's not my concern.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Nintendo is... Nintendo is trying their best to... shall we say, dance the little line, okay? They're trying to get in and on that yummy DEI money. When I say yummy DEI money, I mean the funding from the agencies and the outgroups that are funding it. They're trying to get in on that, but they're also trying to not piss off their Japanese audience. Because Nintendo has a far more Japanese audience than Sony, which is strange, mind you, because Sony itself is also a Japanese company. Supposed to be.
Well, they were, but they're not.
They were. Yeah, they moved themselves, their operations and everything to the United States.
I can't really say Sony is now an American company because a real American company wouldn't do shit like this.
Yeah, they're all traitors, but
they're more like a California company.
Yeah. But Nintendo has a different customer base because of where they're located and who runs their company.
But let me quickly say, if you live in California and you love it there, fine. I have no problem with you.
Yeah.
But if you're a business in California doing this stupid bullshit, go fuck yourself. I have no problem with the citizens of California. It's Silicon Valley that I have the problem with. It's Sony that I have the problem with. And I know Microsoft isn't in Silicon Valley, right? They're still out on the East Coast, right?
Well, they have offices all over the country, but they are an American company.
Yeah, no, but their main headquarters is still somewhere near Carolina, right?
Sure, I believe so. But
so fuck Carolina.
But the point I was going to make, though, is that you've got Sony going in a dumbass direction, and they've been going that direction for a long time. And then you got Microsoft following them, and then you've got Nintendo sort of looking over at both of them going, what do I do next? It's sort of like Nintendo doesn't know who to follow, and Microsoft is following Sony. And Sony's driving themselves off a cliff.
Meanwhile, in Nintendo news, there's the rumor that there's going to be an event unveiling by the end of this year or maybe the start of next year, the next Nintendo console.
Yeah.
So there's that. So, Microsoft and Xbox and PlayStation are, I'm more woke than you. Sony's off in the corner, like I said earlier, with it's not my concern.
Yeah.
Just planning to announce a console. That's why it's not their concern, because they got bigger fish that they're releasing soon, supposedly. What do you think of a new Nintendo to succeed the Switch anytime soon, bro?
Well, I mean, considering the Switch was their last one that they came out with, and it was
great.
Well, ended up being the most successful console of its generation.
Which wasn't hard to do because it
really wasn't all that hard to accomplish.
It came up before 2020.
Yeah.
And the Xbox Series consoles and the PS5s having trouble keeping up.
Yep.
Because of everything.
Yep. They had the timing issue, which helped them win on that one. But the other thing I would say is that it's been a while since their last console, and perhaps they feel like the market has already been long saturated by the Switch, so there's nothing really left to do with that other than just move on. I don't disagree with it necessarily. I mean, if you move on to a new console, then you probably have new hype and new interest, and we'll see what they come up with. Hopefully, it'll be actually something new instead of another. Let's hope they don't do the Wii problem that they had. Because the Wii was a mistake.
So,
and Wii Sports was the only thing that they had going even within the Wii. So I mean, it was just never going to be nearly as amazing as its competitors. And then they came out with the Switch, which again blew everybody out of the water because everybody else was too busy being stupid to even bother to try and compete against Nintendo on that one. And if we're being honest, Nintendo has always done handhelds better than anyone else. That is like always been the case.
Mm-hmm. Since the original Game Boy.
They've never not been leading in handhelds. They've always been leading.
Mm-hmm.
So that
when
continues.
they've been doing them, and now the handheld is the Switch portable version.
Mm-hmm.
But the standard Switch can also be in portable mode too. So,
I mean, because of how Microsoft and Sony decided to do their rollouts of their particular consoles, their two consoles, they're gonna not be in timing for Nintendo. They're not gonna meet Nintendo at the line. They're gonna be behind again, both of them.
Yeah.
So Nintendo's gonna be releasing a console when no one else is, which is a recipe for Nintendo to win one more time.
Yeah. Because Nintendo dropped a new console. Yeah, because the Nintendo generations is like 1 or 2 generations ahead of the other two, isn't it?
Yeah, basically.
Yeah, so Nintendo, in terms of graphic ability and ability of the hardware, hasn't necessarily been up to the power of the whatever Sony and Microsoft are doing. But Sony has been kind of doing their own thing, which is why they don't care what Sony and Microsoft are doing.
The key aspect here is that Sony and Microsoft are basically not going to have anything coming out at the same time that Nintendo does.
Mm-hmm.
That's what's going to happen here.
Mm-hmm.
All they're going to have is games to compete with Nintendo's new console release. Nintendo has nobody to compete with on console when that release happens.
New hardware, yeah, which if the rumor holds true, it ought to be like March of 2025 then. That's the last rumor that I heard.
And so the only person that can get in front of Nintendo succeeding on this is Nintendo themselves. And that's good news for them.
That's a mindfuck in and of itself.
I mean, they're the only ones that can hurt themselves in this situation.
But
if they overprice it, if it's not as good, if it's not innovative, if they don't have games to go with it, if they do all the usual mistakes that happen with console releases, then they could screw themselves over. But they have no one else to compete against. So there's no other party that's making it hard on them. Just themselves.
But speaking of competing with dying brands, Assassin's Creed.
Yeah.
Shadows trailer.
Who are you? Who do you serve?
All I have ever known in my life. Our land. Our customs. My family. Burns in the name of unification.
You are still a frog in a well who knows nothing of the sea.
So, Black Samurais now.
Well, okay, first of all, the first issue, again, right off the bat, we get another DEI title. This is Sweet Baby written all over it right off the bat
Yes, it
because
does.
female protagonist, strong woman. Here we go again with another character that's a female that has to basically just fall her way to success.
At least we're making progress. At least it's not a straight white male that's the villain finally.
Yeah. Well, okay. Here's the other thing, though. Bad guy or good guy, the black samurai in question, real historical figure. Okay. Problem is that the man was not a samurai.
Mm-hmm.
The man was an assistant. He carried weapons. He did not use them. He was never trained. He was never a samurai. He was simply a fascination for a samurai that was a real samurai. Okay.
Yeah.
He was a errand boy. He was never a samurai. So, and first of all, there's no order of the samurais that would have in that time or now even accepted a black samurai. They won't now, and they didn't then. It's an affront to history, not because, yay, racism. It's not pro-racist to say that a black samurai wouldn't be accepted. He just wouldn't. And anyone who doesn't know that,
then they don't
understand
know
the
world
way of the samurai.
Yeah, world history.
People have pointed this out, and this is the part I don't understand. And I still continue to not understand this.
Yeah.
You don't have to do this, guys. You don't have to insert female lead. You don't have to insert black samurai into this. You don't have to do that. All you had to do, if you wanted those characters to be the lead characters, all you had to do was change the setting. That's all you had to do. Okay, so they were like, "Oh, well, we gotta, this popular theme of Japanese samurais is really popular, right? It's so hot right now, right? As Mugatu says, right?
Yeah.
Well, the problem with that is that there was no black samurai.
Mm-hmm.
And they're talking about people want to go back to the Greek, not Valhalla, but Odyssey. And they want to talk about Odyssey, right? And Pythagoras and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, Odyssey was a shit game too. Like, you can't compare a shit game to this and say, well, this is going to be good. That was good. That wasn't good. That was bad. People did not like Odyssey. Odyssey was a flop in the Assassin's Creed community. Okay. So if they're going to say, oh, well, it could be fine if it's just like Odyssey. Like, no, it won't be fine if it's just like Odyssey. If it's just like Odyssey, I'm not going anywhere near it.
Yeah. But on that note, let's get through the rest of the trailer. Then we'll get into the comment section of the trailer itself. Fair? Because I was just looking at a couple, and I really want to read.
Yeah, the comments are good on this whole deal.
Yeah.
King of the sea. The ocean's filled with new ships, but they all come from the same river. Greed. Power. Vengeance.
And you? Will you continue down that river? Or choose another path beyond what we see?
And we must look for it together. We must learn to trust, rebuild.
And follow the blade.
I was beginning to wonder if we were ever going to get to assassin stuff here in an Assassin's Creed game.
Yeah, well, I should also point out to people that assassins and samurais are not the same thing.
No, they're not.
And so, like...
And secondly, I look forward to seeing the reviews of this to see if anyone says if this game's samurai gameplay can keep up with Ghost of Tsushima, which we were just talking about earlier.
Yeah, I'm going to bet not. But, yeah.
Yeah, same here. But you were saying?
Well, I was just saying that they're going to try and blend the two concepts. It kind of reminds me of, like, when they tried to blend... like the assassin concept in Assassin's Creed 3, right? In the American Revolution.
Mm-hmm.
They tried to blend that, like pretending that Native Americans were like assassin types. or that they had some sort of like stealth fighting style. No, they didn't. It really didn't.
Yeah. It was just called ambush tactics by using the forest.
Yeah. And I mean, we can say insurgency and we can say like bush fighting all we want, and like that puts you at an advantage. But that was what the colonists did against the British.
Yeah,
and they didn't learn that from the natives, which was a lie in that game.
Mm-hmm.
That wasn't something the natives taught the colonists. That was something the colonists did because that was how they needed to win.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't like, oh, well, hey, the natives got this idea for how to fight the British, and we should take notes. It's like, no, that's not how that happened, because the colonists didn't like the natives either. They included that part in the game just fine, but they failed to include the part that they like to make it seem like everybody in the game learned everything they knew from the natives, and nobody knew anything except the natives. That was the way that game played out. It was very stupid. But in this game, they're up there basically pretending like the Assassin Creed Guild, or whatever you want to call it, the Assassin's Guild, needed fucking Samurai's help or something. Like, Samurais and the Assassins would have been completely two different groups of people. They probably wouldn't have even been friends or allies at all.
I could just see that meeting of the heads of the Assassin Guild. You know what would make our guild better? No. Samurai.
Yeah. No, it's
Well, first of all, Charlie, we tried that with the Vikings. That didn't work. We tried that with those Americans in the 1700s, and that didn't really work. What makes you think Samurai is going to work? Because we're going to make him black.
well, that part, I guarantee
good idea.
I guarantee you right now, 100% guarantee you, that when they storyboarded the game to begin with, they did not have any inclusion of any diverse characters whatsoever. And then their advisory team came in and said, okay, well, we have to make the characters black, gay, or female. Again, just like the South Park show laughs and points out, that's what they do. They come in and say, whatever your character identities were going to be, one of them's got to be gay, one of them's got to be black, and one of them's got to be a woman.
That reminds me, I got $5 that he's also going to be gay.
Oh yeah, no, they have to include some sort of, bone to the trans community. They have to do that. Because if they don't do that, then they're going to be up in arms and they'll just start inventing gay characters left and right. That's what they always do.
So here you go, bro. Here's the $5 for it.
Yeah, but we know this is what Sweet Baby Inks of the world do. They come in and they tell the developer, you've got to change the identities, you've got to make them, something else. You have to make them what we say you should need to make them.
Yeah.
But even if it doesn't make any sense historically, even if we have records of the actual people that they're talking about, right?
Yeah.
Even if we know that they weren't, in this case, actually a samurai. In this case, the black man in question was not actually a samurai.
Yes.
Okay. So to them make him a samurai, it's like there was never a black samurai at any point. if you were going to make one, you have to make one in current times because you can't make one back then. There weren't any.
Mm-hmm.
They would have been absolutely unaccepted, straight up.
That means it's all DEI force bullshit. But speaking of all of that, let's finish the trailer.
Yeah.
I said, who do you serve? We are the shadows.
That served the light.
I think they're stealing our gimmick. We are the shadows that serve the light here, bro.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's not what the original phrase, even within its own lore, said, but okay. So, like, literally the game is now making fun of itself.
Yeah.
Which is another thing that these woke, advisory groups always do to these games. They always make them make fun of themselves.
Well, at least now we know what day they're gonna what date Ubisoft is gonna start losing millions of dollars. November 15th. So right before election day, right?
I mean, like, here's the thing. Well, that wouldn't be before election. That'd be after.
Okay. What day's election day this year?
First Tuesday in the month.
That's helpful.
Well, I'd have to look. Give me a sec here. That'd be the 5th. Anyway.
What? But the comments now. So, the most heroic thing about this trailer is that they left the comments open.
Of course. Yeah, no, at least they didn't turn off comments, right? They probably will.
Yet.
Yeah, yet.
Remember, never pre-order. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, don't ever pre-order.
Hide in plain sight. Yasuki at 6.5 feet, black guy. Ah, yes, plain sight. Yeah.
Yeah.
My grandmother told me, I don't care what they told you at school. Samurais were black. Yeah. That's in reference to the Cleopatra documentary on Netflix by Jada Pinkett Smith at the time.
Yeah, Jada. Yeah, they really fucked themselves real hard on that one because pretty much every scholar and every single person who isn't stupid knows that Cleopatra was Greek, not African.
We act in the shadow, said the only black man in Japan standing tall 1.80 meters in ceremonial armor. Are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah. Imagine this guy trying to be stealthy. I mean, come on, man. Yeah, that's Assassin's Creed? Oh, shut up.
Always remember, the best part about Ubisoft game is usually the trailers. Yeah.
Yeah, no, and that's really bad because if this is the pinnacle of what this game has to offer, this is actually really bad. This is like probably the worst title we've seen since at least Odyssey. Maybe even Revelations, which is really saying something.
In the midst of medieval Japan, 6'3" black man remarks, "We fit in with the crowd."
The fucking he fits in. Oh, sure he does. He fits in. Is that what they were going for? Someone that fits into a 5th century Japanese environment? Oh yeah, sure.
Yeah, a 6'3" black man with 5'5" Asian men. Sure.
Yeah, neither one of these two would be matched by anyone in regards to appearance or
And then
I
there's
mean,
this one, and I got something to say about this one. We act in the shadow, said the mountain. The only shadow that the mountain is acting in is God's.
the shadow that he's acting in is the shadow he's casting because he's so freaking huge.
We blend in with the crowd, says 6'3" black men in middle of yeah, we got that. If you want Assassin's Creed in Japan, play Ghosts of Tsushima. Exactly. Exactly. And it probably does it better than any Assassin's Creed game.
And might I point out, this is something that I think the development crew does not seem to understand. What they were thinking of when they thought of the samurais in this game was ninjas. Ninjas and samurais are not the same thing.
I want to see
ninjas can engage in stealth, but samurais did not engage in stealth.
Yeah.
At all.
Speaking of stealth, this person said, I think this is Chinese or Japanese or something like that, right?
Sure. Let's
see what... Okay, here we go. Translated English. A story true to Japan's history in which a black man dresses as a samurai massacres Japanese people. As a Japanese person, I said, I never experienced racial discrimination before, but I never thought that a global society would realize that.
Yeah.
This is coming from someone in Japan.
Yeah.
Let's see the wokies call this racism.
Well, I mean, if their definition of racism is black man doesn't get to play the lead role, that's the definition of racism for them, then yeah, everything is.
Meanwhile, they're erasing Japanese people from their own culture.
Oh, well, sure. I mean, well, here's the other thing. If you think anyone who is actually a traditional Japanese person had anything to do with developing this game, they didn't.
They fucking didn't. Keep
this
in mind,
this is a bunch of Western women.
This is made in Ubisoft, and last I was aware, that was a Canadian publisher, right?
Sure, yeah.
Still, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's full of Western women.
Yeah.
White liberals. That's who made this game.
Ubisoft, yeah.
Both men and women, mostly women, because the developing crew is mostly women now. And they're white liberals. They're guilty as sin in their own mind of racism that none of them committed. Or they don't continue to commit, but they're fighting against it. Oh, they're fighting against racism.
This trailer has done something really hard to do, according to this person. This trailer has somehow united Japanese, Korean, and Chinese opinions on why this is wrong in a historical context. That is a very, very rare occurrence, I tell you. Yeah. Chinese and Japanese agreeing?
Yeah, well, that is rare. Because ordinarily, the Chinese and Japanese do not like each other.
Opinion or it over. Anyway.
Yeah. No, and then the other thing is like, okay, what happened to Asian American history or Asian appreciation? What happened to that? Now they're just having, some black guy dress up in samurai gear and go around, being a rolling ball of butcher blades against a bunch of Japanese people and calling it a good game.
Yeah. And then there's this one. Piracy isn't stealing if buying is not owning.
Yeah.
That's a great point. If we're buying a game but we don't own it, then pirating the game isn't stealing it either.
Yeah, it's just borrowing.
Yeah.
I mean, hell, how can you steal something that isn't owned by them either?
Yeah, because if the definition of buying is not owning a copy of the game anymore, then the definition of the other side has to change too, doesn't it?
Yeah, no, the interesting level of gatekeeping on that is sad, but that's not even the biggest criticism, honestly. That's just a criticism about the way games are being sold today in general.
This one is going dark. The biggest Western insult to Japanese culture since Nagasaki. That's
wow.
Yeah.
There you go. I mean, this guy's basically saying you might as well have just nuked us a third time instead of putting this game out.
Yeah. Ubisoft might as well just drop the giant Ubisoft nuke on Japanese and Chinese people.
Yeah, I mean, what happened to Asian American representation or Asian representation in gaming? What happened to that? Oh, now we're replacing them with blacks and women. Yeah, thanks.
This is a good one. Assassin's Creed Saga, 2007 to 2012. You won't get my money, Ubisoft. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, if they're still using the Sweet Baby Inks of the world as advisors for their games.
Yeah,
I ain't going anywhere near it. I mean, if it's at all obvious, I'm not touching it with a 10-foot pole.
What Assassin's Creed game dropped in 2012? Was that Black Flag?
Sure, that sounds about right.
Okay.
Well, it could have been number 3 though. I have to look back on exactly. It might have been number 3.
Yeah, because I gotta know what the last one that came out in 2012 was. Because this person's saying that whatever game that was the last Assassin's Creed game. At that point.
Well, no, I mean, look, if we take the majority of the content involved, Mirage was an Assassin's Creed title. If people played Mirage, they would realize, yeah, that was a fair Assassin's Creed title, and true to the nature of the game. It was. I didn't like the way the story ended or the storyline much in general, but the gameplay and the game itself was a very good Assassin's Creed title. But yeah, everything from Odyssey to Valhalla to, just everything they've done, Origins, all of it is basically taking the original just pissing on it.
It was number 3 in 12.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Because I remember that.
Yeah. But
no, the guy's basic point is that it is true, though, that aside from Mirage, they haven't made an actual Assassin's Creed game in a long time that was good overall.
Yeah.
Like, this series has been milked far beyond any reason. Like, it's completely, I almost have no words for how much they've milked this thing. Like, they've milked this so much, they've milked marrow out of the bones, man. There's nothing left. And now what is this, just the final insult, honestly?
Yeah. And like I said, November 15th, the date in which Ubisoft will lose millions upon millions of dollars with the release of Assassin's Creed Shadows.
I mean, I don't know how well it'll do in terms of sales, because you never know how good they are at tricking people. But in terms of game quality, it seems pretty doomed.
But all I can say to Ubisoft losing millions of dollars for the release of Assassin's Creed Shadows, you losing money for working with a consultant company like Sweet Baby Inc., willingly sending your company into the dirt. Here's my opinion of
Well, it's not my concern.
Yeah.
But on a positive note, 11 years in the making, College Football 25 official reveal trailer. Your thoughts before we go into this, bro?
Yeah, no, we've been waiting for a long time, a good while, for a good college football game.
Since NCAA Football 14 on the 360 and the PlayStation 3.
It's been a long time.
And the last one was really good.
Sure, yep.
To the point where I regret trading in my PS3 version, because now to buy it back, it's like $100.
Yeah, it's more than it was when it first came out.
Yeah, because when it first came out, it was like $60. Then you trade it in and get like $30 for it or something. And then to buy it like on eBay or from a used game store, it's going to cost you a bunch of fucking money for it. Now, I wish I kept it, because what I was trying to do was trade it in to get a 360 version. Well, I couldn't find a 360 version because everyone was keeping it.
Yep.
Wish I had too. But now we check out, finally, a college football trailer. Hold up. Let's see what that said at the beginning there. In-game purchases includes random items. Okay, so there's an Ultimate Team. That's nice. Well, there's the confirmation of Ultimate Team, and the SRB still is making it for everybody. So the kids can gamble, folks. Just wanted to point that out right now.
Finally, it is here. You can take all that just another game stuff and throw it out. The eyes of the nation are on this field today, and that's what these players live for.
Well, since that's the song they're using, I'm going to mute it.
Yeah.
Even though we're not monetized at all, I still don't like just seeing like a copyright claim on shit because it just goes, whatever. You know?
Yep.
Because I don't fight them because, like I said, this channel's not monetized and it never will be. But as it is, I still do just get mildly annoyed by seeing it. Hence why we will say what we have to say to whomever we have to say it, but when it comes to copyright music, that's a whole other story. So we got the Deluxe Edition, 3-day early access pre-order July 16th. 4,600 college football points. I guess that's the in-game currency for the microtransactions. 3-day early access pre-order by August 13th. Okay, so that's for Madden Deluxe Edition. Madden 25. You already made a Madden 25, dipshits.
Yeah, well, in this case, they're referring to the year 2025, not the number.
Yeah,
25.
Have fun searching for a review of Madden 25 and getting anything but...
Yeah, getting anything but the other game that came out for the 25th anniversary.
Yeah, which was 2012, I believe.
Uh-huh.
Or 13 or something like that.
Yeah, it'll cause a nice bit of confusion. I always wondered about that when they came out with that. I thought, well, they better not be doing Madden in 2025, otherwise this is going to be a real problem.
And we're here.
And we're not here now. Yes, we've arrived at this problem.
And you were right.
Yeah.
It took a long time for you to be right, but you were right. Here we are. But
yeah, well, I assumed that Madden wouldn't even be a popular title by this point, but it still is, apparently.
But at least I think now we have the release dates for both these sports games. College Football 25, first of all, college football's back, finally, July 16th. I will be messing around with college football because been hungry for it for a long time. Madden 25, you can go fuck yourself.
Yeah, we'll see if the college football game lives up to its reputation.
Its comeback.
Yeah.
Because it ended on the highest of notes possible with 14.
Sure. Yeah, it's an exciting development.
It has a lot to live up to. Which means there's a lot of potential for this to be just as shitty as Madden 25 here.
Yeah, well, I mean, if it's the same developer, right? So, you know.
Yeah, and then there's the MVP bundle, which gives you both games apparently over here, which will probably be like $200. It's Electronic Arts.
So people have to remember why people played the college football games to begin with, because there was an argument initially when they first came out with the first college football game that people weren't going to be as interested in it because of the, shall we say, the metrics involved. There's less talent. generally on the teams. They're less experienced players. The playbooks are different. The audiences are different. The college teams are there's a lot of college teams, whereas there's only a handful by comparison in the NFL. So people were, questioning whether or not it would ever be successful in the first place as a video game. But what they did have going for them, and they still do, is a huge fan base. People who are not even in college, people who are not even necessarily alums of any college, who still enjoy playing and watching college football.
Yeah.
So this is what carries the titles of college football across the finish line in terms of success. So what they have to make sure they don't do is forget those things.
Mm-hmm.
Because again, when you watch a college football game, you're not watching professionals. You're watching people who are learning how to be professionals in that sport.
And a lot of the time, a lot of the players in college football don't even go pro.
Correct.
They leave college and go on to
do other things. Yeah.
Things. Exactly.
Yep.
Only a small percentage of players from college football actually go to the NFL, be it undrafted, get drafted, whatever, or years later sign as a free agent a few years after college, even in some cases.
Yeah, we don't expect too much. We don't expect too much in the way of disruption by any sort of sweet baby influence on this one. We don't expect any of that, but we do hope that the game plays well and that they test it before they release it. Just the basic stuff about releasing a video game.
This kind of makes me laugh. The thought of NCAA Football 25 release for me is kind of like...
Taki? Eve, are you alright? This place is dangerous. Take my hand.
And the release of another yearly Madden, to me, is like...
Well, it's not my concern.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
More or less.
Yeah, no, we get yearly Madden, so I mean the Madden thing is not exciting.
No, it's not.
If they do anything innovative, I guess we'll point it out or whatever, but whoever's excited about Madden 25 has got to be out of their damn mind.
At this point, yeah.
It's like, how many titles do you need before you stop being excited? Like, are you just like one of those brain dead individuals that just gets excited over everything you're told to get excited about?
Yeah.
Like, you don't have to have anything new, special, or interesting about it. You're just going to get excited no matter what. Is that how they are now? Is that how we all are supposed to be? Just, there's another title. It doesn't matter what it is. I don't care how good it is. I'm just going to get excited for some fucking unknown reason.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can't be dumb like that. That's just fucking stupid. And I really wish people would stop being that way.
Yeah.
Analyze your media. Analyze the content of the products you're buying. Stop buying shit. Stop buying garbage. Stop paying for garbage.
Yeah. So on that note, do you have any topics that you wanted to bring up that we didn't talk about yet?
Well, there was a little bit of political stuff, but I don't know if that... I mean, there was the announcement that Robert F. Kennedy Jr. picked his vice presidential running mate there.
And it's not Aaron Rodgers. Oh, and that reminds me, Aaron Rodgers was interviewed by Tucker Carlson recently, which I started watching right before this broadcast. So,
yeah, RF Kennedy Jr. picked Nicole Shanahan, and she's basically sort of. He picked her because, well, one, she's a female, obviously. That's the big thing. Two, she's sort of in agreement with him. She's kind of like, she's like a medical researcher, and she has a foundation and all that. And then I think personally there's a little bit of woke bullshit involved in that, and I don't exactly trust her. I think she's sort of aligned. She's a former Democrat, right? So that's the first, sign of trouble. She's been an independent since this year, which tells me she left the Democratic Party to join Robert F. Kennedy Jr. Pretty much.
You said it's Tulsi Gabbard, right?
No, bro.
Who'd you say?
No, I said her name is Nicole Shanahan.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no, he didn't pick Tulsi. No. No, Nicole is sort of. You have to go look her up. Basically, she has no former political experience of any kind, really. She's just sort of research. She's on board with him in terms of the vaccine stuff. So that's kind of the majority of the reason why he picked her. And she's a female. So he was just trying to make like shake things up a little bit or whatever.
And personally, it would have made no sense at many levels for it to be Aaron Rodgers. First of all, he's still under contract with the Jets. One.
Yeah, he's busy. He's got a career to do.
Yeah.
Still.
Two, his stance on vaccines and mandates is opposite pretty much everybody in the establishment.
Well, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is not. He's against that too. See, that was one of the things that actually, sort of pulls some people towards him, is that Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is very, very skeptical and has been a huge critic of the vaccine rollout and the vaccines. So that's a big thing that's a big thing he's about. And that's why he picked Nicole Shanahan, because she's big about that too. But the thing about it is, like, RFK Jr. also stepped in it real bad on abortion in the past, about 2 weeks ago. When he talked about saying that he thinks the Fed should, not only the feds, but also the states, everybody should get out of it. And there should be a federal law that allows it all the way up to birth. That's what he said. And even people who are, even people who are pro-abortion or pro-choice or whatever, even people who are like that were like, whoa, 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 whoa. Even people who are like that were like, what are you doing? Stop. Even they were like, oh, that's too far, Robert. What are you doing? Like he had to apologize and walk that back and say, well, I didn't really mean what I, initially had said. And so, sorry. It was very stupid. It was just like, I think what he was trying to do, and kind of what he does every time he does this, is he's trying to position himself politically as close to the middle as possible. But he has a very, very strange idea of what the middle is. You know what I mean? Like, basically, he spends some of his time courting what you might call MAGA Republicans. And then the other half the time he spends courting, like, leftist Democrats. And he thinks that if some of his policies are, like, straight up MAGA and some of his policies are straight up leftist Democrat, that he'll attract some of both. But really, all he's doing is alienating both at the same time.
Yeah.
He doesn't seem to understand that. Like, you can have a moderate set of policies, but they have to be moderate. They can't be, oh, here's some of my extremist policies. Oh, and then here's some of my other extremist policies. And they completely disagree with each other. And no one on either side is going to like me because I can't, I can't pull them in because they oppose the shit they oppose. Yeah. He's just not going to draw extra people with doing that. But he went and did it anyway. So he ended up having to walk that back completely.
Yeah.
Because only the extreme left believes in post-birth abortion. I mean, they're fucking nuts as far as most people are concerned. People who believe in that. But anywho, so that's been the news with that. I just figured I'd mention that since I know this is like a political segment, sort of.
Yeah, well,
the presidential race is getting, warmer as we get towards November, obviously.
Yeah.
So.
And I will only say this about Bobby Kennedy Jr.
Yeah.
He is simply...
Well, it's not my concern.
Yeah, my concern. Yeah. Well, he's kind of got like a maybe at best 3% in polling. So, I mean, I don't even know if he's strong enough to be a spoiler, honestly. I don't think he's strong enough to even spoil anybody.
No, he's not. And secondly, it would take an asteroid splitting the world in half for Trump to not become president of the United States at this point.
Well, there was a series of polls that were released about a week ago that were quite interesting. It basically shows that unless something magnetically shifts in regards to the polling numbers, Trump's going to win Nevada straight up. He's 14 points ahead. Like, it's not close in Nevada. And in Arizona, he's 9 points ahead. That's way out of the margin.
Yeah.
So
just like
those two states appear to be straight up gone, and Biden will not win them at this rate. And that's bad because Biden's already got a disadvantage due to the political wins. Incumbent presidents they do have a certain advantage, but not this one. Not this one. In this case, he actually has a serious disadvantage because of the level of social, misery and whatnot that's gone on in the last couple of years. So being the incumbent right now is actually a difficult challenge, more so than an advantage right now. But anyway, there's a lot of battleground states where it's either neck and neck or Trump's got a lead. There's like 2 of them where Biden's got a slight lead. It's all overall the numbers are not that great for Joe Biden. And so unless something really shifts heavily, he has a serious chance of losing to Donald Trump. It's serious enough to where the White House advisors had to put out a press statement discussing the poll numbers because the poll numbers were that bleak, especially on the western states. I mean, if he loses both Nevada and Arizona to Trump, he's going to have to make it up somewhere else. If he loses Nevada and Arizona and Georgia and Pennsylvania, Trump's the president at that point. Like it's over at that point.
Yeah.
Like Joe Biden can't lose all 4 of those. I mean, there's some machinations here and there and some possible surprises, and who knows what will end up happening. But no, the numbers lately have not been going Joe's way at all. So it's something he does need to. If he expects to win, if Joe Biden expects to win over Donald Trump, he's got work to do because that's not looking like it's going to happen at this rate.
So on that note. A quick announcement of something new coming to this channel, which we were trying to do yesterday, but it didn't work out.
Yeah.
And you can say what you want about this situation. I'll leave that in your hands because it's your friend and whatnot.
Yep.
And if you don't wish to say anything...
It just simply boiled down to he wasn't available. We expected him to, but something came up, so he wasn't available.
Yeah. So next week, I don't know what day. We'll see what happens. Just stay tuned for the channel. The intended episode of the new podcast is still scheduled for the channel for next week, but it may move days and time. Well, not times, just days. Anywhere from Tuesday to Friday of next week. So stay tuned for that. But with that announcement, I can show you guys the opening that this guy, Desert Nor, created for it. It's called Thoughts from Dat Underground. Check out the intro. Yes. Desert Nord, Drew Dat Games, I guess is what I'm called there, and Diego Cordero. Thoughts from the Dead Underground. And the intention is to do just whatever Diego wants to talk about at that point.
Yeah, I mean, we, like I told you off camera and before, is that the way this works is like me and him have had conversations a long time. I've known him for a lot of years at this point. And the way it works, is like we'd usually talk about if there's something he wants to talk about, and I just usually go with the flow. And usually it's more history related. A lot of times it's about
which is how we started this initially. And
science, engineering, history, a lot more. And then obviously there's a political element. There would always, of course, be a political element to it since, we're all similar in that regard. But it's sort of like generalized topic conversation. But I'm sure the flow was much different. And I feel like he would prefer, and probably me too, would prefer to not actually know exactly what we'll be discussing ahead of time.
Yeah, which is why there's going to be no outline, nothing. It's going to be completely unscripted.
Yeah, that kind of would be the big thing, I would think, is that, not really an intention to go with any sort of prefab or preform presentation of any kind, or any specific topic.
I will just have to monkey around with the description after the fact.
And hopefully we'll be able to incorporate news events and things that are of interest to us currently. And there will be obviously some disagreement, debate, and we'll obviously have a little bit of headbutting in regards to how we feel about different things, and that's the way it should be. But it'll be a different it'll have a different feel to it. hopefully than our usual podcast.
Yeah.
And
But
I don't mean to take the lead on it either. So you know, you're hosting, and I'm I'm a guest, just as like anybody else.
Well. As far as I'm concerned, I usually refer to you off camera as my co-host for these.
Yeah, that's fair too. That's okay.
So,
put it that way, yeah.
So, yeah. So therefore, you'll still be the co-host of this, and the third amigo, if you will be your friend Cordero.
Yep. Mm-hmm. But yeah, that's the sort of intention, because that is the way it usually goes in conversation most times with him, and it's been something he's been trying to get into. He's been looking forward to doing this type of thing a lot more. He hasn't really gotten to do a lot of it, but it is something he's very much wanting to do.
Interested in, yeah, and the chance to give somebody a platform that wants to start doing this too, is perfect.
Yeah.
So. And I'm more than happy to do it for a friend of a friend. So, the friend of my brother is my friend.
Friend of the family, as they always say, right?
Yeah.
I don't know.
My friend from the family, yeah.
I don't really know what direction it will take or what direction it will go, and hopefully we'll be able to organize it. Actually, get it going. Actually.
The first episode is the pilot episode anyway, so it is what it is. We'll see how it goes.
But it should be a good fun
for next week. Yeah. But beyond that, do you got anything else?
No, that's about it.
Okay.
You would ask for some more content for this particular podcast, or maybe some for both that one and this one, and I'll be at work doing that too. I mean, doing some clip making for that too.
Yeah, for this and that, because Doesn't Work will be bringing some more clips for us. So I don't have to just keep using this over and over and over and over.
That's not my concern.
It's a good one. It's a good one, but there needs to be some complimentary ones.
Yeah, there needs to be other ones, because otherwise I would just have to keep going back to this.
Good job. At least you're going to roll him down the hill.
Yeah.
And
Taki? Eve, you were right.
Or this to introduce
Yeah.
Standing on the church. Because otherwise, the only other thing I left is only for the outro. So, which, by the way, this guy created.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
When have I not said that before?
Well, it's all right. You know, every good presentation needs that type of editing.
Yeah, the editor-in-chief of the channel here.
Yeah.
But on that note, I don't have anything else. You don't have anything. I guess we're going to call it here then.
Sure. Yeah.
So, with that in mind, there's only one thing left to say. What really should be said. The debates between Trump and Biden, I don't think Biden is going to get there.
Well, they've agreed to do 2 debates apparently, and it's sort of a bit of a trap, honestly, because it's going to end up being Joe Biden's rules and Joe Biden's. It's like it's going to have massive home field advantage, and the media is going to be swinging for the fences against Trump.
Yeah, and the American people, the ones that actually see what's going on, like you and I, are going to see exactly what they're doing, and it's not going to affect Trump's voting, whatever.
I mean, there's no way that the debates are not going to be anything other than a fix and a sham. There's just no other way for it to be. I mean, just the fact that the forum is going to be so incredibly stacked against Trump.
Yeah.
It's not going to be a fair forum. It's not going to be an even-handed forum. It's going to be every single host, and the entire network host is going to be 100% wall-to-wall dedicated to making Trump look bad, sound bad, and arguing with him. Like, that's literally there. This is going to be Donald Trump versus Joe Biden and the media. That's what the debate will be.
So, in other words, the first debate in June, if there actually will be one, Biden versus Trump, because of everything that's involved with it, is simply...
Well, it's not my concern.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be very hard to take it seriously.
Exactly.
Because the media doesn't even try to hide. Not even slightly. They don't try to hide their bias. They don't try to pretend they're unbiased. They don't even care anymore. They're just like, he's evil. I know he's evil. I'm here to oppose him. That's their opinion, and that's their reporting, and that's everything they do. They do not have a fair and honest opinion other than a biased, insane, and axe-grinding opinion about the man. So they're not trying to even let him get in a word in edgewise. They are there to make him look bad, and that is their goal. 100% all day long and twice on Sunday. That is their goal. And that is the whole point that they're trying to push forward here. If they fail to make him look bad, they will have failed their mission in their own mind. So, and, you know, I mean, sometimes that's easy to do. Occasionally, sometimes Donald Trump does step in it. Sometimes he says the wrong thing. Sometimes he says something that isn't true. It happens. That's a politician. That's how politicians are. The difference being is that Joe Biden could stammer for 10 minutes straight, and the media will just let him and pretend he didn't even do that. You didn't just see that, everyone. He didn't stammer. He's fine. You know what I mean? That's the way they act. That's the way they talk about him. Like he's perfectly normal, and what you're saying isn't real. Isn't really Joe Biden having trouble. That's just what he meant to do that.
Yeah.
When everybody knows damn well it's Joe Biden having trouble. Just doing basic things like forming sentences.
So on that note, what are you going to be up to after this?
Oh, well, playing some fishing. Still doing the fishing game.
You're going fishing. I'm going to get back to watching the interview between Aaron Rodgers and Tucker Carlson, then probably fish it with Skyler until I fall asleep. Tomorrow I'm going to try to get a game stream out somewhere, somehow, some way, because I have been promising to do that for a while and haven't been able to.
Yep.
I'm going to try to get one out. What I don't know, but stay tuned on to Drewdat GMS on Twitch or Drewdat Games here on YouTube and see what happens in the next 24 hours or so. But until then, I'll see you guys. Thanks, Desert Nord, as always.
Yep.
And enjoy the new outro that we now have.
Yep.
But before I play that, we'll remind you of what a game should look like in 2024 on current hardware.
Taki? Eve, are you alright? This place is dangerous. Take my hand.
I will never say I'm sorry, I ain't taking nothing back. I don't care if I offend you.